Perfect. Everyone, hi, good evening. Bruce Mufson, Sunridge of Nevada, coming at you with another live stream actually tonight. We want to just kind of break things up. And tonight's topic is going to be, why do kids do these senseless and violent acts? And I'm referring to two specific ones here that happened in the Las Vegas area. One over the summer where two guys were in a car and were just basically driving around looking to hit people, literally. And they were hitting bicyclists. That's what they're kind of focusing on. And they had hit several people, and they ultimately killed a person who was biking. And now they're being held, of course, in jail and awaiting trial. Recently, a few weeks ago, we had an incident at a local Vegas high school, a high school called Rancho High School, where there was a beef between two groups of kids. And one kid was told to come out to a fight, and they were going to settle it. And he went out to meet with these. There was like 10, 12 on like one or two. And it ended up with the 10, 12 kids beating to death this one person who was unconscious and, not responding. Took him to a local hospital, lived 3-4 days, but of course, terrible brain damage, and he died. And the question that's coming up, which we wanted to talk about, is why are kids doing these senseless acts, these violent acts? What is the purpose? What's the story? Here's the perspective that I wanted to bring tonight. I'm 60 years old, and I've been doing clinical social work for a long, long time, probably a quarter of a century. And I have worked with thousands of people. And what I have found, the biggest issue for me, which is not talked about and kind of glossed over, is the lack of fathers. And this is, to me, the issue that does not get talked about. To me, it is a public health issue. But of course, realistically, to me, men are under attack right now in America. And the sense of being a masculine guy and being unafraid to be a parent and just, being there for your kids is almost like under attack. And everything today is, we can do it separately. We don't need to have parental influence. But there's so many studies and so many factors that come into play with this, where having a father changes your life for the better, and not having a father changes your life for the worse. Simple as that. So I'm going to get started now. I have a lot of stats and a lot of statistics. We want people to call in. This is a live stream. So people, even last week, I'd gone through, I had some time finally. I even had people who had written comments on our videos that people still like, obviously. And I encouraged them to come to the live stream and ask questions, talk about things. So we want people to respond. We're going to do more of these. We realize how much people enjoyed them, as well as the video breakdowns. But tonight's going to be about really what is the reason, in my clinical opinion, for these acts taking place all the time. And I'm going to share insights of my own, just from going to people's homes, doing clinical counseling, and what I observed the most. All right, so here we go. Again, we are also offering a service now for $50 a month. You can get me for roughly 1 hour a week on these kinds of programs. The price is nominal. I mean, I talk to so many clinical people who are having difficulties with private practice in terms of getting people to come involved, where people are saying, I'm paying $30, $40, $50 for a copay. I didn't get along with my clinician. I didn't feel I was getting anything out of it. I'm spending this kind of money. My insurance is paper thin. Here's a chance to actually get someone live like myself right now and share your thoughts, get perspectives, and hear topics like this, because it's not just about quote unquote counseling, like how you doing, how's everything going, but also to talk about issues to prevent them from becoming big ones, and of having your kid not get hooked up in the juvenile justice system, or having a miserable life. So here we go. According to the 2020 U.S. Census, which takes place every couple of years, 18.5 million children are living without a biological father in the home. This means out of 73 million children in the United States, 23% are without a present father. This number has doubled since 1968 and continues to increase. So it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Give an example. When I talk to the interns, or the students that are coming in for nursing, physician assistant, um, social work. I'll always ask them, when you were in high school and your 20 best friends, how many of your friends were still married? And they always go like this: two, maybe three. The vast majority of their fellow students were coming from divorced homes, which we're seeing unprecedented levels of divorce and also non married and kids being raised by single parents. There's a factor to it, and I'm going to go explain it to you more and more. Here are some of the facts of father's absence, and they break it down also. Father's absence disproportionately affects Black children, and nearly a quarter of American children live in father absent homes. So here are the numbers. They break it down ethnicity: white, black, brown, and yellow. And it goes ethnicity of children: live with both parents. White, basically 75%. Live with mom only 17.5. Live with dad only 4.4. Live with neither parent 3.6. Fine. Black, live with both parent, basically 40%. Live with mom only 48%. Live with dad only 5. Live with neither parent 7.1. So those last two are always going to be fairly small. Latino, 67% lived with both parents. Then it was 24.9, 25 with mom, 4% with dad only, and 4.2 live with neither parent. And Asian has the highest numbers across the board, where living with both parents, basically 87%, living with mom only 8.5, living with father only 2.2, and living with someone besides either parent is 2.4. Again, and I have to say this openly, the number of Asian kids that I've seen, want to call them Pacific Islanders, straight Asian, that I have seen in detention, that I've seen in juvenile justice, that I would go to the house individually, virtually zero. Almost never see an Asian kid getting services. Now, I'm not saying there's not other issues, but as far as the stuff that I see, they are woefully, thank God, underrepresented in those key criterias. They stick with the same parent. And very rarely do I see an Asian kid with only an Asian mom. Doesn't happen. So it has a factor in of them being involved in, quote, quote, the system. Right now, again, there's no one responding to anything. This is your chance. I know I've been absent for a little bit, but this is your chance to talk to me, share things with me, ask me any kinds of questions, and get some feedback about this really important issue. Now, here's something interesting, and I like this where I took this article from. It's from a church-based group, but I was really impressed how they handled everything. They did a really nice job putting it together. And the name of the article is called Urban Light Ministries. And they really did a nice job putting everything together. What's the positive impact of a present father? Okay, research has proved, going back one thing. Fathers with education, including high school or bachelor's degree, were found to be more involved. So the more education you have, the more likely you are to be involved with your children. That's surprising. I think because going to school forces you to be on time, to be prompt, to get stuff done on time. So it's critical that you see more education leads to more father involvement. And also, probably realistically, if you don't have a high school education, you're going to struggle for work. I mean, that's just reality. So you're not going to have normal hours. You're not going to have a normal job. You're not going to have health benefits more than likely. So you're going to struggle. So how much time could you really have for your kids? So what's the positive impact of a present dad is that research has proven that children that grow up with a father in their lives do better in almost every sense that was measured. Here, University of Missouri study, adolescents who had resident bio or adoptive fathers are shown to have higher GPAs than those with unknown fathers. Common sense again. If you're a father that's involved, you're going to shape your kid's future in terms of work, in terms of what your goals are going to be, in terms of how you're going to look at your own life. So hearing they're going to have a higher GPA is not exactly a shock either. It's kind of common sense, a lot of this stuff. But a lot of times in therapy, we ignore the common sense aspect and we look for theories. Well, if you do this program, this is going to change your life. You do this program, it's going to change your life. It's amazing how many people I've talked to, white, brown, black, even the occasional yellow, and I get the same line. My dad was not involved in my life. It's just that same theme over and over and over again. Didn't have a father. So here's the thing about for girls, if a parent attended college, more likely to believe they would finish college. Why? Because they're looking at you as a role model, obviously, and they see they can do more. And I tend to see that with kids as parents that have gone on, besides finishing high school, junior college, college, master's, or even a doctorate, the kids tend to follow along because you're setting an example that education is important, that it means something. Adolescents with non-resident biological fathers were less likely to expect to finish college. Again, common sense. Adolescents without a resident father figure and didn't know the identity of their father had the highest risk of school failure. Again, completely understandable. I saw this over and over again. And I would say to the kids, like, if you ever met your father, what would you say to him? This is a common theme also. And they would say the same thing kind of predictably. I would ask him, where have you been all my life? Why haven't you been part of my life? Was I not worth it? Did you have another family? Did you ignore me? What was I a bad person? Did you look at me from a distance? All kinds of comments from guys and from the girls I worked with too. They really ached in their heart for a father. Now, of course, if your father's a jerk, or like he's molesting, the sexual abuse, mental, physical, emotional, we get that. That's not a role model. That's a terrible person for you. But the vast majority of kids would say to me, "What did I do? Did I have a bad smell? Was I embarrassing to you? Did you look at me in my crib?" And there was an ache. There was something missing in their lives. There was no dad. And we're not here to bash moms. That's not the point. The point is, again, to say without a father, you got a lot of things working against you. All right. National Father Initiative in 2015. What are things that having a father in your life is going to do for you? You control your emotions better because they're teaching you how to act. Better physical health. Less likely to be overweight. Healthier relationships, teaching them how to pick good friends. You got to stay away from the dummies and the losers. Feel safe and confident. You feel good about yourself. Less likely to use drugs and alcohol, perform better at school, less likely to be poor. Because you're having someone looking out for you and giving you ideas. And here's something about those two incidents. More likely to stay out of trouble. Fathers play an important role in keeping children from taking harmful risks and committing crimes. There is no doubt in my mind. I think the two boys that were hitting the bicyclist, neither one had a stable father in their life, they had said. And I'm sure of the 10, 12 kids, I'm sure the majority of them did not have stability at home with a father figure. Or if they did, it was distant, not really there. When you have a father that's going to say to you, who are you hanging out with? These dum-dums, these zeros, these morons, you're less likely to make bad choices. I've always said this too. I think the greatest fear of any kind of organized gang across the country and across the world is an organized, dependable, loving father. Because how many people I've talked to that were in gangs would say the same thing. My mother was overwhelmed. She had 4 or 5 kids. I didn't have a father. I was the oldest. I was the youngest. I was the skinniest. I was the weakest. And I needed protection. I was getting beat up. I felt alone. I felt insecure. I had no self-confidence. The local gang fulfilled that outlet for me. It was almost repetitive. Always the gang stuff, the gang stuff, the gang stuff. The gang became the de facto parent. And it's not even just like that I've seen, like when I didn't watch anything on TV talking about how gangs get kids. It's simplistic. I mean, if I was running a gang today or wanted to start a gang, I would do a Google search, lit search on which kids I'm going after that didn't have a father in their home. And those are the kids I would contact first to get them to join. Focus on kids that don't have a parental unit as a father. That's how I would get a kid. Rather than like, oh, 2-parent family, man, it's going to be a tough sell. But that single mom, gold mine, that to me is the biggest issue in gang prevention, is having 2 parents involved. Now, what happens when you don't have a father? Here are some of the negative sides: higher rate of depression and suicide, greater chance of substance abuse, higher rate of crime, earlier sexual activity, poor educational outcomes. I mean, you can just see it here. Every kid I worked with when I was doing heavy numbers at Medicaid, always the same thing. How you doing in school? Flunking out, flunking out, flunking out. Haven't gone to school. Getting kicked out. Have an IP for behavior. Haven't gone to school. Truant officers looking for me. I missed 40 days last semester. Like, what do you do for 40 days? Well, I went to my friend's house because they cut school too, and we got high. Great. You didn't go to the library that day, I'm assuming, right? No. You didn't do a field trip that day? No. You didn't go to a local museum that day? No. You didn't go hiking that day? No. We went to my friend's house. We had drugs. We got high. A girl came over. We took advantage of her. And now the police are looking for us. That was a common theme also. That you're not in school, only bad things are going to happen between 14 and 17. It makes common sense to me. You play in a team. Oh, I'm a great athlete. I could be playing in the NFL. You play for your high school? No. Well, there's no high school traveling teams. I'm a great ball player, basketball player. You hoop, you play for your school? No. They suck. They're stupid. I'm the best player. But if you don't play, no one's going to notice you. Again and again and again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The lines are open right now. Please, please, please. We want people to call. We want you to understand the value of signing up for our service. $50 a month. You get me once a week to begin with. If you want me for more, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's a great value. And when you tune into stuff like this and you hear reality, not fantasy, not what people want to believe, but the truth, I want to get people to make positive decisions in your life so that you go forward. Okay. Now, here's an interesting point, too. I like this article because it had a lot of good points I never really thought about. Women aged 10 to 19 who experience pregnancy. A lack of partner support correlated with harmful birth outcomes. Yeah, you're on your own. Low birth weight that often results in child loss was less likely in pregnancies where the pregnant mom was receiving partner support. Huge. Huge. I had 3 kids, heavily involved in the pregnancy. I mean, I actually was the cause of the pregnancy, but it was also just the fact that I was involved. Specifically, teens that are pregnant and have partner support are less likely to have preterm birth. These are all factors. You want to have a healthy baby. You want to have a baby born with cord wrapped around its neck, or low birth weight, or, which is devastating for a baby. You don't want that to happen. We're having medical complications because the mom is so freaking stressed out because she's alone. It affects the baby. It affects mental health issues. Why would you do that to a fetus that didn't deserve that? You got to be invested in the baby. How many times did I talk to young mommies? No father, boyfriend was a loser, ran away, got another girl pregnant, wasn't there at my birth. My mom was there. My grandmother was there. They're raising the kid. I'm trying to get my crappy job in fast food. And the baby was born low weight, had to spend a week in NICU to get some weight on it. The baby might have a birth defect, it might have a learning disability, all negative stuff. It's crazy to me. Now, here's something very interesting. Correlation between absent fathers and mass shootings. Not again that I'm surprised, but I like how this article brought this out. In the spring of 2022, and the number, of course, has risen, there have been 250 mass shootings that have killed approximately 256 people and injured a little over 1,100. Many of these young male perpetrators, because we don't really have women that do mass shootings, had problems going on at home. Shocking. Whether the father was physically or mentally absent, the shooter was lacking a father. Mass shooters have been known to have a mental health illness, delinquent behaviors, and violent tendencies. You kind of see the correlation between the biker getting killed and the kid getting beaten to death. They also frequently do not attend school, hate it, or are failing out. These are all problems shown to be caused by an absent father. Very, very interesting. Another point, a large factor missing in the life of mass shooters is a positive psychosocial influence. In a study conducted by the Journal of Police and Criminal Psychology, it was shown that 85% of the mass school shooters they researched suffered with depression. Again, not exactly news. It's amazing how many kids I see do suffer from depression at an early age. I mean, I didn't have a great childhood. I've said this before on many of the videos I've broken down of the songs and the live streams. I did not have a good childhood. Very unhappy home. A lot of dysfunction. But you have depression when you don't have a father in your life. You struggle with depression. When they speak of depression, this includes diagnosed depression or significant symptoms, including suicidality, anhedonia, which is like low grade depression, hopelessness, guilt, and sadness. They're not happy people. So, lack of a positive psychosocial influence meant a lack of established academic or other goals in their lives and little to no encouragement to make goals for their lives and seek to complete them. That's what a father does. He gives you direction. Here's another factor I had going into a lot of homes that I did when I was doing a lot of Medicaid work. The kids would look at you as their father. Oh, you're my dad. I wish you were my dad. I wish you were my father. I wish you were my father. I got that all the time because the kids felt no one cared about them and that they were seen as losers. You're coming to my house. You're spending more time with me than my father ever did. So you know what? I see you as my father. And that would happen quite frequently. A classic story. I had gone with right now he's my agent slash producer. We'd gone to a home where it was all girls. I think it was 4 girls, and I was going to do 4 assessments, and he came with me. And they opened up the door, they saw us, and I could see already with like a look of like, oh God, we got to spend the whole morning talking to these dummies. And we sat down and we started doing the assessments, and the girls just opened up. And they started asking us personal questions about their lives, or how they should handle relationships, what they should kind of sport they should pick up. And the mother twice, she got phone calls and she said, I'll be there like in an hour. Give me another hour. The girls are talking to somebody. Because the girls had somebody for once. It was my producer too, did a fine job. Agent was just talking to these girls. Someone was showing an interest in them. And it just veered off from like, what's going on to like, you think this is a good outfit? You think I should talk to the guy this way? Should I take basketball? Should I take soccer? I think I want to study Spanish. They opened up. And the girls didn't even want to leave. They're like, tell them we'll be there. And I actually think it was Thanksgiving Day that we went over there. And you think, okay, turkey and cranberries and all that stuff. No, hold it. We'll catch the second football game of the day. These people actually are curious about who we are. You see the factor. Right now, again, the lines are empty. Anyone that wants to, shoot me a message, call, say something. You can talk to me directly. You can see my fat face. I'm hiding behind the mic so you don't see it. Talk to me. What do you think about this stuff? Has having a no father been a factor in your life? Do you wish you had a father? Are you a father now? And you want to learn how to be a better father, a decent father. This is why if you join our weekly subscription rate at $50 a month, you would not just about therapy, like how you doing, what's going on. I try to get to the root of the issue, focus on what's important and what you need to work on to be a better parent. So if you're a kid that lived through this, if you're going to be a parent yourself, if you're a parent currently, even if you're a grandparent, if you made a lot of mistakes, what can you do to play catch up so the kids don't have these issues as they grow up? It's amazing to me also how many times in counseling I talk to people who are having difficulty in the early parts of their life, their 20s and 30s, midlife, 40s and 50s, and even my level, old man life, 60 plus, and it all stemmed from lack of a childhood father that wasn't there, that wasn't focused, that let moms make some crazy decisions and crazy comments. And they weren't there to keep her in check. Again, we're not ripping moms. I know single moms take that, like a lot of times they take the hit. We're not knocking that. We're just trying to say to you, I know what you go through. I see what you go through. And I'm here to give you some insight and self-awareness. All right. In 2016, a psychologist, Dr. Peter Langman, he compiled data on 56 American school shooters, found that 82% had grown up in dysfunctional family situations, usually without two biological parents at home. This trend steadily continues. The shooter in Ovlad, Texas, had not lived with his father in years. The Sandy Hook shooter hadn't seen his father in the 2 years leading up to that massacre. Crazy. What would have happened if there was a stable father in the mix? Would these kids have done what they did? Probably not. Or less, at least less of them. Because what comes up? Suicidality, anhedonia. Again, it's like a low level of depression, hopelessness, guilt, and sadness. You feel your life is going nowhere, so this is your best possible option. Okay, again, we want to hear what you have to say. Oh, here we go. Jeffrey Jones. Keep up the good work, Bruce. Have to jump for another call, but thrilled with this content. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jeffrey. Hey, if you get a chance, come on back. We want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about this. We want to talk to you. Thank you for jumping on board. Appreciate it. All right, great. First one. Ding, 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 ding. Great. Firstly, hope of many. Thank you. Thank you again, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. What's the cost? Okay, this is a good question, too. This is a really good written article. What is the cost to society due to a father's absence? Basically, it's $100 billion a year. 100 billion. That's 1/10 of a trillion. And this article, there was a study. What's costing it? So the study supports the facts that father absence contributes to financial poverty. Not a shock. Not surprising again. 39% of single mother families, 40% basically, live in poverty. But only 8.5%, 8.8 of families with fathers present lived in poverty. Okay, common sense again. I've seen this 1,000 times. I go to a house with a single parent and you can see she's struggling. She's struggling. She's struggling. And then you have someone like me coming in, oh, is this your only job? No, I work another job during the day. This is my night job, whatever. Really? Two jobs. And I call it the finger sweep, where they look and see if you're wearing a ring. And it would be surprising. Look at me, seriously, not an attractive person on any level. And this is years ago. And people would say, are you single? Do you like children? Are you free? Get my personal number and call me and say, hey, I'd like to meet with you. My daughters liked you. I felt comfortable around you. My kids liked you. My son enjoys your company. I get it. They're looking for a stable male role model. People are desperate for this. And never fail to not even disappoint, but I got it. People looking for some kind of stability with a parent because they're thinking in their mind, he'll drive them to the soccer game. He'll sit there quietly. He'll cheer them on. He'll pick them up, take them home, stop off at McDonald's, and nothing weird will happen. He'll help my son with his homework. He'll go with him to church. Oh, wait a second. He'll actually clean dishes and do a vacuum and clean out the dishwasher. Wait a second. He'll take my daughter to go clothes shopping, take my son to get football cleats. He'll be proud of him, say good luck. Why are you hanging around with that dummy? She's a terrible influence on you. Make good choices. I don't have to be home every second, worry. He's invested. They think this way. They start to surmise and they put it in perspective. So where does the money go? The $100 billion was spent on programs such as TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, child support enforcement. Okay, child support, meaning they have to chase down dads that don't pay their child support. So it's not like they're paying money, to keep the family going. It's family money to keep the family from falling off the roof because the dads are not paying the alimony. Food and nutrition programs, okay, so food and nutrition programs is basically, getting welfare, getting a food allotment. Housing programs, which is Section 8, and state children's health insurance plan, which is basically Medicaid. You got to pay this stuff because you don't have a father in the home to help support the family. And what else happens? Okay, this is a conservative estimate, but they're leaving out three hard things to measure. Indirect costs related to poor outcomes of children of single mom families, such as greater use of mental and physical health services and a higher rate of involvement in the juvenile justice system. I mean, there's so much interest today in trying to, what they call it, the pipeline. You don't want to, they call it you want to avoid the pipeline to prison. That's like the trendy term now. But it starts off as a child that you don't want to get them in the system to begin with, because once you get in, it's hard to get out. It traps you. So that's a big issue today. And long-term costs and reduced tax income due to lower earnings of children of single-parent families, and long-term costs due to higher incarceration of children of single-parent families. Man, I tell you something. When you take somebody out of the tax base, when they could be earning but they're not, or they have to spend more time at home, there's no support, it affects the income that people are going to make. Lower tax revenue affects us in a million different direct and indirect ways, from roads, highways, bridges, to putting more money into education, to putting money into programs that might actually benefit people. You're not spending it because you're spending it on other things that really, if you think about it, don't have to spend on. But when you don't have that stability of a stable income, job to job to job, you can't keep a job because the child care costs today are insane, that you're really struggling. And these are all factors. Now, here's another thing too. The best overall aggregate estimate is that 20.1%, man, that's a lot, of single moms. So 20% would leave poverty if marriage rates returned to what they were in 1970. 20% would leave welfare rolls, would leave the poverty rolls. But it makes sense. When a woman gets divorced, if she gets divorced, her income generally drops about 40%. When you have a family together, and it's interesting, when I go into a house that's normal, okay, we talked about that before. You see how the child looks, you see the stability that the father brings to the table, you see that there's money coming in, and the mother is not strapped with three crappy part-time jobs. Instead of focusing on one real job that will give her, like, God forbid, a pension plan or a chance to commit to a 401k, or enough money to get out of the crappy neighborhood that she lives in, buy a condo, start somewhere, home ownership, taking care of the family, not have four kids in one room, which makes you nuts. Having your own room or just two in a room. These are all factors. So these are all the 20% would leave welfare rolls or poverty rolls if they had a stable father who was taking care of the money. Now, again, Jeffrey, thank you very much for commenting. Make the plug again. $50 a month gets you once a week with me in a venue like this, whether it's a live stream, whether it's on Twitter/X, whether it's video breakdowns of songs, this and that, or Q&As. You get me. You don't have to question what kind of therapist are you getting. Is this going to work? Is this going to fit? This going to be, my kid going to like this person? $30, $40, $50 a month now, a week that you're paying for your premiums. You're getting me for an amazing price of $50 a month. You're not going to find that anywhere. And very few people, if any, talk about issues like this. They'll say things like, well, this will help your kid out. This will help you out. This is a new theory. This is a new program. I get it. They all have pluses and minuses. But this is aces up every single week. Where do you get a chance to talk to somebody live about questions that you have in your heart that you're afraid to ask? And we've talked about topics as diverse as A to Z, from sexual abuse to trauma to psychedelics to gang usage to fathers in one's life or not, how to make better decisions in your overall life, how to get ahead in business and in work. We actually had a guy that said to us one time when we did like an under 60-second video, he said, listen, I listened to these guys about jobs. I've been working at this company now for a year and a half. We were like, whoa. He goes, take the guy seriously. He knows what he's talking about and trying to find a good job. because I had that battlefield combat experience of how to relate to people and have been there and seen it and done that. I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And if you follow me, your life will change for the better. There's no confusion. It's very, very simple. You listen to Bruce, you will get better. Your life will change for an amazing low fee of $50 a month. And I feel like, there was a guy when I was a kid in Brooklyn called Crazy Eddie. And of course, he was a big scammer with his electronic shops. But the pitch man would go, Crazy Eddie, insane, insane. Yeah, it sounds insane what we're charging, but we don't want to do it like, $250 an hour, $150 an hour, $175 an hour. You got to come to a seminar. You got to buy the tapes. You got to buy this. I'm not into that crap. I want 2,000 people that are committed, that are hungry, that want to change their life. That's it. We had a guy that called in about one of our videos that we did. I called him back. He was like, "You calling me back?" He lived in a different state, different time zone. You think I cared? Any of you that have watched our videos, and we've had thousands, hundreds of thousands of you do that, and we've had tens of thousands of comments, I wrote back every single one of them. Who does that? Who has that kind of accessibility? Because I want to create an army, but not a large one. I want to create a small army. Everyone could kind of sit in, get together, get the information they need, and grow. Grow off each other, work together with each other, think about things from a different angle, and grow, grow, grow. Because here's my point. I don't want you to make the mistakes I have, and I've made hundreds of them. And I want to give you the secrets to a successful, positive life where you don't beat yourself up for what happened to you in childhood and you're able to go forward. One of the things that drives me crazy is that kids like this that grow up without parents, they tend to have messed up lives. I don't want you to be self-destructive to yourself anymore. And now $50 a month is not a lot of money. We want to keep it low initially. It's going to go up like everything else. But we want you to join now so you don't have a life of dysfunction that you've seen from your grandparents, your parents, and yourself. And we talk about topics that no one talks about. So back to the live stream. The rest of the article talks about from a biblical perspective, which didn't really shock me. It is a church-based group. And they bring in a lot of good points with the Bible, is supportive of fathers. And, I'm just flipping the pages. And building fathers into real, what they call POPs, which stands for protector, order keeper, provider, and stabilizer. It's a nice acronym. That's pretty cool. But they're just trying to talk about what you need to do to be part of it. And here's a couple of points just for yourself. If you want to afraid to dive in, want to get your toes wet, join the community, participate in a discussion, build groups of like-minded men, actively participate, get involved. That is what I'm trying to do here with Sunridge of Nevada. We're going to keep on doing live streams. We're going to get back to more video breakdowns. We're still going to go on Twitter and talk about mental health perspectives and where things are changing, because there's no one better than that stuff than I am. But I'm telling you right now, in closing, and again, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey. You want to get better. You want to improve yourself. Come on board. Fathers are critically important. They're not talked about way enough. It's become like we don't need fathers to be successful. You do need a father to be successful. Some of these statistics is, sobering, and how little certain groups have no father in their life. Are you shocked? Are you shocked at how things end then? Why would you even be surprised? Your question should be why the number's not even higher of being incarcerated, having mental illness, no direction, no goal, aimless, drifting. Makes total sense. And I've seen this my entire career, from going into hundreds of homes, dealing with thousands of people, having people come to me for counseling and therapy. But I want to reach people on a different level. This is what this channel is all about. Sunridge, Nevada. All right, last few seconds. Anyone have any comments, any last minute thoughts? If not, Bruce Mufson, Sunridge, Nevada. We're going to come at you with more stuff every week. Be prepared. Consider joining. $50 a month. We want to hear from you. Thank you.